The NES has some of the most classic games that the industry has to offer, like Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda, Mega Man, and Final Fantasy, among countless others. Those games are nothing short of masterpieces, and they got to continue on with sequels and spin-offs that allowed for later groups of people to learn about them and eventually cherish. Sadly, some games weren't lucky enough to get this treatment, and because of that, they just kind of blinked away over time and eventually were forgotten. One example of this, and the game we're going to be talking about today, is Crystalis. Crystalis is an action-adventure RPG with an epic tale to tell. The story begins on October 1st, 1997. A global war broke out, causing complete devastation to the planet. The world is now altered, with mutated monsters and civilization destroyed. Life is no longer the same. The people left on the planet had been forced into a medieval world, abandoning science and technology. However, magic survived. The survivors vowed not to repeat the mistakes of the past, raising a tower in the sky to oppress evil forever. The game truly starts 100 years later. You wake up from a 100-year cryogenic sleep and are soon told that you are the last hope to save humanity from an evil that has been awoken. And how does that journey start? You have to wake up some guy who's sleeping on the job. Throughout the story, you meet a number of characters. Some of the most important in guiding the story along are the four wise sages, Zebu, Tornel, Asina, and Kensu, who also help give you a total of 4 swords of wind, fire, water, and thunder. You also learn of another girl named Messia, who's from your time and is helping against the forces of evil, though you're mostly just playing catch-up to her the entire game. Last, you learn about Azteca, who is the leader of a group looking to oppose your primary adversary. Early on, it's mostly just about exploration until the people of the Leaf Village get kidnapped by members of the Dragonia Empire, who are the primary enemies. Emperor Dragon was looking to awaken the forbidden practice of science and fuse it with magic to take over the world, so you set out to defeat him. After you defeat him, Azteca explains he tried to suppress all of his evil thoughts away, but Dragon began to read Azteca's negative ideas and become absorbed by them. Dragon's quest for self-glory led to his, and sadly, Azteca's death. After this, it brings you to the final part of the game, the tower in the sky, which also reveals who you are. You were told by recordings that you and Messia were scientists that helped create the tower and froze yourselves years earlier, to one day awaken and deem if there was hope for humanity. When the tower started working, you were awoken. You work your way up the tower to meet with Messia, who fuses your swords together to form Crystalis, your ultimate weapon, and use it to destroy Dinah, an AI controlling the tower as well as your final adversary, to save the world and have your legend remembered forever. The overall gameplay is pretty simple. You move around the world freely, and combat with enemies is blended together with it, so it doesn't stop exploration. The info in the box below houses all the typical RPG information. You have health points, as well as a life bar, magic points, used for spells and strong attacks, and experience points used to reach your next level, which goes to a max level of 16. 16? That's kind of a strange number to max a level out at. Usually it's like 50, 99, or 100. Even Mario RPG did it at like 30, but that's at least a round number. The only other game I can think of that maxes out at level 16 is Willow, which is another game we may discuss in the future. The primary form of combat is using swords that you obtain throughout the game. You start with the Wind Sword, and then later get the Fire Sword, the Water Sword, and the Thunder Sword. Each can be charged for a projectile shot. Later you obtain an orb of each element, which allows for a second charge, being a more powerful attack, but also does a second function, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Last, we have the bracelet of each element, which allows for a third charge of the sword using an extremely powerful move. However, this time it uses magic points. Touching upon the second charge attack again, It is used to destroy parts of the environment, or sometimes used to create new ones to explore new areas. Magic points are also used for casting spells, ranging from healing yourself, using telepathy, and a spell called Float, which is nice to hover over enemies. All of these are used to go throughout the world. Sometimes it requires a little more thought, having to use spells to affect the world around you to obtain items or information. One of my personal favorites is having to use the change spell to become a girl to get the water bracelet, because in the town where that is, they don't let men do anything. I find it funny that you can use the change spell right in front of them, no worries, and they don't even notice. That's what I thought. I'm here trying to save the world, call me filthy. I showered this morning. You also have an item list in the menu, which items can restore health, magic, or use boots to jump or teleport, as well as a bunch of random items, like a gas mask for traveling through poisonous areas, or a flute to call a fish to travel on the sea. Its gameplay is rock solid and one of the best action-adventure RPGs on the system. The graphics to this game are absolutely exceptional. The game is extremely pleasing to look at, with many different environments to explore. The places with lava, water, mountains, the desert, and more all look great, and most all the enemies feel different. Needless to say, the game looks nothing short of visually spectacular. Though the game looks amazing, one thing stands out just a little bit more: the music. The soundtrack is one of the finest on the NES, and is easily on par with other amazing video game soundtracks of its time, like Blaster Master, Ninja Gaiden, and Castlevania, among others. Every track fills an atmosphere beautifully, like the one that makes adventuring just feel epic, to a dark, dismal song of a destroyed town, and of course the iconic overworld theme fans of this game have grown to love. All of these great things tied together just show how many strengths this game has. This game has so many great traits, it's hard to find any critical flaws with it. The only really noticeable issue is that sometimes it gets confusing trying to navigate some areas, and sometimes you get really stumped on what to do next, and the hints from the telepathy spell don't always help. Sometimes there's just not enough variety with extra stuff to do. One part I really liked was the duel with Stom, where you have to press A rapidly to stab your sword and press him against the wall. However, he can do the same to you.
Good game, noob! Not even close! GG! Easy!
Leveling up can also be a little dull as well, primarily because you just have to sit around killing the same group of enemies over and over. However, level grinding is an extremely common thing among role-playing games, so even though I do bring this up, I think it kinda gets a pass. A graphics issue does show up as well. While walking around and fighting enemies, sometimes the screen flickers in the background because of all the stuff that's going on screen. Again, though this is something I'm bringing up, it's extremely common among NES games, so again, I feel it deserves a pass. Overall, this is an amazing game on the NES, and it should get more attention. It did get a second chance on the Game Boy Color about 10 years later, but a lot of people felt it was actually weaker than the NES version. If you want to add this game to your collection, you can hop online to find it from about 15 to 25 bucks or so. That way you can enjoy one of the finest RPGs the NES has to offer. Thanks for joining me on this adventure together, and I hope to help you find a new favorite RPG next time. And once again, thanks for watching. I just want to thank everyone again for watching, and if you want to see more videos of less known RPGs, as well as see me do other stupid stuff in time, hit that subscribe button. Also, any questions or comments, please feel free to shoot me an email or hit me up on my Facebook page, which everything will be in the description below, and I can try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.